Hello, guys, gals, and non binary pals. Thank you for joining us for another episode of GSC's Girl Pod. Hopefully, by now, this is episode like 18, so hopefully, you know who I am. Hi, I'm Candy, and I am joined this week by Brit. How you doing, Brit?
We're here.
We're here. We're here. For
We're here.
context, we are recording on a Thursday night. So we've each had full days, but we want to make sure that we never miss an episode. So we made sure that we found some time in crazy hectic schedules. It is the day before Halloween, but we are not dressed up at time of recording because this will come out after Halloween. But we've had quite a few costumes throughout the weeks. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about with the costumes, that means you need to go back on this channel and check out the other ones. You could see Brit as the bear. You could see me as Power. You can see V as Maleficent, amongst many others. Uh, we're recording this around the same time that the news podcast is recording, and rumor has it that they also have costumes. I don't know what they are, so go check them out on the channel. So
Did they wanna
that's
be like us or we were like them?
Oh no, they
That's the
wanted to be like
question.
us.
Okay. We
They
started the trend. They
We
just
started
followed
the
it.
trend. We did 4 weeks of costumes. They're doing 1 day. Like, we did this. We set the trend.
I mean, I think I'm still dressed up. I'm dressed up as, a parent who's parented and worked all day. So I've got a lit candle, I've got tea, like, I think this this is me time, so I think that's how I'm dressed tonight.
No, you know what? That's so valid. I am dressed as a human who pretends to have it all together, which is so far from the truth, and then comes home and cracks open a nice bottle of something to just erase the day. So
Um, Talking about, cracking something, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking. I've had this on the podcast once before. I am drinking Mio sparkling sake. Uh, it
But how are
is.
you drinking it?
I'm drinking it right out the bottle, baby. It is right out the bottle. This is, like I said, it is Thursday. It is. All right, you know what? No, now for the moment, I am cosplaying as a 21-year-old because it is Thirsty Thursday and we are enjoying our evenings.
Video games and alcohol, we love it.
It's a good combo. It's a good combo. What are you drinking?
I made a London Fog in my favorite coffee mug. A London Fog is an Earl Grey tea with lavender and vanilla, and I kind of made it more of a latte than anything. Like, I heated milk up and frothed it, and added, like, lavender syrup I made, all that stuff, so
Ooh.
it's not just like, poured in a cup, here it is, it's, you know, actually made it with love,
You
so
so
and then
fancy.
no, I love making fancy coffees and teas. It's like my thing. I don't drink, or don't drink regularly.
Mhm.
So making fancy coffees and teas is my thing. And I take pride in my espresso machine and, my setup upstairs. So, and then I got my emotional support water bottle. Gotta have one.
See, that's how you can tell the difference between everything here right now, because you have an emotional support water bottle, and I'm like, "I just have sake." There is no there is no water bottle again. You know what? Screw it. I'm cosplaying as a 21-year-old, Thirsty Thursday, and then
Who doesn't drink
you
water?
doesn't drink water because who needs water? I can bounce back in the morning. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm young and I'll just get through it. Not young.
No,
Not at all. That's
no.
okay.
As I dive deeper and deeper into the 30s, it's more and more water and less anything else, it seems.
Smarter than me. I'm like, "Ooh, that 40 is way closer than that 30, but here we are still like, mm, I'll have some
Yep.
sake right at the bottom. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good."
I don't need to eat. I don't need to drink water. I just have my sake.
Oh my god, now that I think about it, I definitely ate like a college student today too. It's like, "What did I have for dinner? A slice of pizza? Just 1 slice? I mean, it's not a dollar slice, but, like, slice of pizza and now out for drinks, like, my goodness. Friends,
I
don't
mean,
be don't be me. Even at 38, don't be me. Be more responsible with your body. Your body will thank you at some point.
I don't know, I feel sometimes that our age group specifically did not get as much childhood as
Valid.
some people in, like, either older or younger than us, they didn't
Mhm.
get that, whether it was, the millions of things that happened in our younger hood, or it was just the fact that we really didn't get like, it's now that I play more video games than I ever did in my entire
Mhm.
life,
Oh, yeah.
and, I mean I mean, I don't know. My mom asks me all the time, "What are you doing?" Playing video games?"
Mhm.
You know? But
Oh,
that's
I'm with you. No,
I
I
mean
think that makes so much sense now that I think about it. Actually, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before, but Uh, I've said, like, I'm in the general New York area, downstate, but my parents used to commute into the city for work, and I have a younger sister. So once we moved, like, away from my grandmother, my younger sister became my responsibility when my parents weren't around. So I think you hit it, like, the nail right on the head,
Yep,
right? It's like
yep.
that childhood well, I still had a childhood, and my parents, this is not
Mhm,
to slight them in any way, right? Like, not at all,
mhm,
because they did a lot of amazing things for me and my sister, and we would not be where we are, like, if it wasn't for them. But it did mean there was a level of, okay, like, I have to be home for my sister to make sure that she's good and make sure that everything is fine, and we had 4 Siberian Huskies, which are gorgeous dogs, but my goodness, do they need exercise and they shed a lot. Right? But so,
yeah,
like, the
they're
just
higher maintenance dogs, yeah.
it's funny because they are and they aren't in some ways.
Mhm,
Um, they were one of them was a little bit needier and we had her and then we gave her to a friend and then we got her back for a bit because she just had so much energy and was destructive.
mhm,
Um, but with the right amount of space and the right amount of training, like they're pretty good, right?
mhm,
But they can be very high maintenance. And some of that maintenance is also just like the amount of hair that they shed and
mhm,
like, keeping their diets pretty well. But that meant, like, where we were living, like, I got out of school, and then my sister would come home, and, like, it was me and her at home taking care of, like, all the things we need to take care of, and then once I turned, like, 15, 16, I was working, and once I got my
mhm,
license and she was a Girl Scout, there were times where and not all the time, but there were times I'd have to, like, pick her up at Girl Scouts or so there was this level of, like, responsibility and helping
responsibility.
parents.
Yeah,
Yeah. And again,
mhm,
all worthwhile. Like, I wouldn't be who I am without all of that. So again, not a slight. Very much want to say not a slight because I know my sister and I believe my dad have listened at least to the first episode of this, right? So I just want to make sure that
mhm,
everyone knows not a slight. But it is a different level of like responsibility. So I think
yeah,
now I'm like, well, I can sit around and play games and like the only
mhm,
person I gotta answer to is me. And yes, obviously, I have my husband, but it's not like, oh, I have to take care of somebody in the same way. So I think that like
mhm,
your statement was like just so perfect. Like, yes,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
reality.
and I I have a daughter as well, and she's 6, so, um when my husband and I have been married 11 years this year. And so like when we when we got married, like we were not young, but we were like mid-20s.
Mhm.
Um, and we had to like we both worked full-time jobs. He went to school full-time and it was like where we found free time is playing games. And then our daughter came
Mhm.
along and I stepped right into, like, mom mode again. I have a younger sister as well, and when you were talking about your younger sister and the responsibility of being, like, the eldest the eldest
Yeah.
daughter and, being that responsible one, my sister got married, at the beginning of October, and when she when she was talking to me, she's like, "You were a second mom."
Mhm.
Like, that just, like, that nurturing person in my life that was kind of like a secondary mom. So when I moved my husband and I moved away right after we got married across the country. Um, so I didn't have that sense of responsibility for another person.
Yeah.
Um, but, working and all that stuff, and then I became a parent, and there was another screaming human I needed to take care of. And it wasn't until she started school again that I really found out who I was as a person.
Mhm.
It's really when I started streaming. It's really when I started playing games outside of, just, little here and there. It was like, I'm really enjoying this type of game now and finding my niche and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so, I don't think you're ever too old to really refine yourself and refine something like video games.
Oh,
Like
100%. Like, I growing up, I played games, and part of the reason that there was always, like, a video game console in the house was because not that the area that we lived in when I was young was awful, awful, um, but we lived in New York City. I mean, I don't live there anymore, so I'll say it. Like, we lived in the Bronx, right? And
Mhm,
parts of it were fine, parts of it, questionable. Um and, like, video games were something to, like, keep me entertained at home, right? And my dad was also a little bit of a
mhm.
gamer, so it's not like I
Yep.
was the only reason that was the only reason, and, my uncle lived upstairs in the apartment building that we were in, and he was also a gamer, so, like, I was exposed to it, pretty early on, but it
Mhm,
was something that, like, kept me entertained, and I remember, even on, like, the PC, because I know a lot of people didn't have computers, like, as accessible as I was fortunate enough to, like, growing up, but even games on the computer, some of them being learning games, right? But it was still
mhm,
gamification of learning, and I remember it was, I think, Microsoft and Carta that had, like, a game that you would play. It was kinda like you were going through a maze of a castle, but the way you would get through was, like, you would have to answer trivia questions, right? And
mm,
if you didn't get it right or whatever, you could go back to the article and read through and, like, do some of that, which is maybe why I'm so nerdy with certain things, because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I don't know this thing. I'm gonna, like, learn it somehow." Um, but so there were lots of things like that that, like, I was just exposed to early
mhm,
on, but gaming was always there, and then as I got older, I sort of drifted away from games, right? Because then there were just other things to keep my attention,
mhm,
some of it just being homework, and in a sort of full circle moment, and I don't actually know if I've talked about this before, but when I was in the 6th grade, um, I started a newspaper at my Catholic school because I was really
mm,
interested in writing articles and, like,
mhm.
journalism, right? So it feels full circle to now be writing for Gamer Social Club. Right?
Yeah.
But to be writing about games and things like that. So, but so, like, there were other things that kept my attention, and, and then obviously there's, the things that every preteen, starts to be interested in. It's like, "Oh, like, I think I have a crush on this person," or, "Oh, like, now I'm really into,"
Mhm,
at the time, it was like boy bands and girl bands and, like, anime, like, and all these things that started to take my attention
mhm,
away from gaming. Um, but then I got older and I, like, got back into it a bit, and in college, it was lots of Rock Band, and very social
yeah,
games, right? And then I fell out of it a little bit again, um, and more so just because of being busy and working and, you know,
mhm,
traveling and all the things that you do when you're younger. And then once I got a little more settled and, met my husband and he also enjoyed gaming, now there is a lot of that, like, "Oh, we're gaming," right? Because we both like games. It was something that we bonded
mhm,
over, right? But
yeah,
that gaming has sort of resurged as, like, a main interest, like a main hobby, a
mhm,
main, but I think it's the same thing where you re-explore yourself and your game genres and, like growing
mhm,
up, yeah, I played The Sims a lot, right? And I created my friends in The Sims and I did things like that. And for a while that was like almost the only game that I played.
yep,
Right?
yep.
And I had all
We
the disc because they were disc at the time.
Oh my gosh. So, growing up, my first experience with games was this with the original, Nintendo. My
Mhm.
dad played Tecmo Bowl. Like, he still to this day plays Tecmo Bowl. He took his original system, took it to get refurbished so he could play Tecmo Bowl.
Oh my god, I love that.
But, like, I played Sonic as a kid, like, I
Mhm,
would never get beyond the first 2 levels, but Sonic was my jam. Um, and then my cousin had the first Sims, and I would find every excuse to go to her house so I could play Sims. And then when we
mhm,
got a family computer, I had a family friend that brought all over the discs, and she downloaded them on the computer, and but it was always a family computer.
mhm.
It wasn't until, um 2016 that my husband took all his Frankenstein parts from his PC, and he and his brother sat on our apartment room floor, and they built a PC for me.
Mhm,
And that was around the time that Stardew came out. So it was like I had Sims again, I had Stardew, and I was rekindling those video gaming again.
mhm,
So it's been about almost 10 years now that I've had, like, PC gamed, and that's what my husband does, that's what he is doing right
mhm.
now, like,
Yep,
and that's
yep.
what we bonded over, like, Baldur's Gate and, Stardew, when they became multiplayer,
Mhm,
or it would even when it wasn't multiplayer, we would sit next to each other at our desks and play Stardew.
oh,
"What are
yeah.
you making?" So,
Mhm,
I just feel like even I don't let anyone tell you you're playing too much video games, or at your age you shouldn't be playing video games. Don't
mhm.
don't let, because even my 60-something-year-old father, closer to 70, still plays Tecmo Bowl after dinner every night. Every
I
night!
love that so
So
much, though. I love that. Like, my dad
uh,
doesn't play games the way he used to.
mhm,
Um, I think some of it is, like, the games he liked to play were, like, sports games, and he would play with a friend
mhm,
and so there was that level of it. Uh, now he doesn't as much, but if there's, like, a game that I'm like, "Oh, you should try this," or, like, we'll play it together or whatever, like, he's down to try it, right? He's not, like, totally opposed to it. They
mhm,
don't have a console. Actually, the only console they have, where they are is the Switch, so, like, if I bring something for the Switch, um that's a different story. And like my sister plays a
mhm.
little bit. She definitely doesn't play as much as like I do, which is,
Yeah,
fine. Um but yeah, I mean I think there's always time to like relearn who you are as a gamer. I didn't get into really PC gaming until 2020, really? Like and I
mhm,
got a gaming laptop. Or no, maybe 2019 because it was just before the pandemic. But like really like not like I was a console person started with, Nintendo and,
mhm.
I know we're showing our age and whatnot, but, um, Duck Hunt, used to love Duck Hunt, right?
My
W
dad had the gun and
Yup,
everything,
had the
like,
gun.
yeah, yep,
Yep. Yeah, like,
yep,
loved that, right? And then, obviously the Mario games and,
mhm,
we had a Sega Genesis, so I also,
yep,
played Sonic. I play I played Altered Beast, even though Altered Beast would freak me out a little bit because it was just, like,
mhm,
the thunder cracking and it was a little terrifying, and it's so funny because, I can't remember the line off the top of my head right now, but, my husband listens to Last Podcast on the Left, and there is a line in their opening, right? And the
mhm,
first time I heard it, I was like, "That's from Altered Beast, that's from a video game." And he was like, "What are you
mhm,
talking about?" And I was like, "No, no, no. Like, that's from a classic old video game. Like, I know that line." Like, and I looked it up and I was like, "This is it. Like, this is Altered Beast." Like, so it was one
mhm,
of those things that was like, really, really silly and cool. But the Sega and then like I really fell off. I played PlayStation 1. Somewhere
mhm,
in
I did
between
too.
PlayStation 2 and 3 is where I had that like fall off for a bit until Rock
Yeah,
Band,
mhm,
but Final Fantasy 7 was huge for me. That was like my introduction to JRPGs. Um,
mhm,
it was also the first time that I ever put like a woman on my walls and my mom was like, "Do we need to like figure out what's going on here?" Like, I think it was the first time that she was like, "Hmm," because I had to put Tifa Lockhart on my wall because I was like, "She's badass. She kicks ass with just her
mhm,
hands and her fist, like, and she looks good doing it." Like, whatever. Um, and that was, like, the first time I had seen that in a lot of media because I watched anime and stuff, but, Sailor Moon was always cutesy with doing things, and
mhm,
and I was like, "Nah, this is a badass woman, like, she's just
yep,
cool." She's
mhm,
right? But so then that fall off happened, and I didn't really stick with the Nintendo past the Super Nintendo. Um,
Yeah.
but this year, I have revisited a lot of games that I used to play. Talking about streaming, I streamed Turtles in Time because my
Mhm.
cousin and I used to play that, and I had never
Mm.
finished it. So I
Oh.
finished it on stream, and I was like, 1, that game is so short. I don't know how we never finished it. And 2, I was like, "Oh my god, all these years later, like, baby me would be so proud."
Mhm.
Um, and then I went back and played Crash Bandicoot, and my
I l
goodness.
yeah.
I was like, "This is
Comparing
hard."
comparing I I sucked at Sonic, and going back and playing it now, I'm like, "Yeah, I still suck at it because 'cause I'm not good with platformers, anything like
Mhm.
that. When we got the PlayStation 1, I played the crap out of
Yeah,
a
we curse
Spice
on
Girls game. Okay, I played
here.
the fuck out of this Spice Girls game, okay? And basically, you made the Spice Girls dance, and that was the premise, and the Mary-Kate and Ashley games. I loved the fuck out of those. Those were my cozy games as kids. And then we got the PlayStation 2, and we got DDR.
And the
And
DDR
my
mat?
s Yes,
Yes.
we had 2 of them be so we couldn't fight, is my parents' reasoning, and my sister and I, that's all we would do is play
Good
DDR.
exercise.
Um, it was, and, like, we'd come into the kitchen, like, sweating, and my mom's like, "Are you playing the dance game again?" We're like, "Yeah, it's so fun." But again, like, I fell off the wagon for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't until I met my husband, and he was like, "You should get Minecraft," and I was like, "What? What's Minecraft?"
Mhm.
And I bought it, and I tried it out and was like, "Okay, this is okay." But it was the family computer, so it wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't have my own computer. Wasn't like I said, it wasn't until 2016 that I had my own gaming computer and
Mhm.
actually opened opened the world to me. And I'm loving that a lot of the older games, like Sonic is available on Steam, like the
Yeah.
original Sonic. Um, and I'm waiting for it to go, like, on a super sale before I click yes on it because I'm like, "How much is nostalgia?" Um,
Worth. It's worth.
yeah,
I mean, I say it's
yeah,
worth. I bought Crash Bandicoot and it was like $4. The, like,
yeah.
insane trilogy, I was like, "It's $4, of course I'm getting it." Like, why
I
wouldn't I?
mean, I just bought all of Dead Island 2 for $20, like, with all the
Mhm.
DLCs, so, and that's originally, like, $60
Yeah.
at its age, but, um, I don't know, I anytime someone says, "You're too old to play video games," it's a line of crap. It
Mhm.
is a line of crap. It yeah.
100%. I think if
Mhm.
anything, maybe the games that you play evolve, right? Because
Yeah.
I, a few years ago, tried to go back and play the Mega Man games.
Mhm.
Holy shit. How I played those when I was younger, I mean, I know that the answer is my reflexes and reaction time were way better at 8 than they are at 38, right? But
Mhm.
I was like, "These are so brutal." Like, I could not
Yeah.
get, like, a good groove with them and struggling and I was like, "Oh my god." Still enjoyable, right? But it was like, okay, so maybe those are the games that I can't play, right? But again, as someone who likes my JRPGs, I'm like, "That I can still play," right? Like, those are great,
Mhm.
especially if they're turn-based, even better. I don't have to worry about reaction time. I can walk away, right? Some of them have auto battle and I can walk away, right? But like those sorts of things and I've gotten really into roguelikes and roguelites.
Mhm.
Um Especially ones that are like deck builder ones, which are
Yeah.
things that like I would have never thought about once upon a time, right?
Mhm.
I remember friends being like, "We're going to suggest games to you to stream. We don't think you'll like them, but since you're up for the challenge." And that's how I found some of like my favorite games. Like Hades is a banger of a game and
Mhm.
I like did it on a challenge. Um I know this is maybe controversial cuz Blizzard is not great and they kind of suck. Um but I love me some Overwatch, right? And like I
Mhm.
did not think that was a game that I was going to enjoy and I'm like, "Damn." I mean, I'm glad that I started playing it when it was free, although I have
Mhm.
bought every Persona thing that they released in the last few months, because I love me some Persona. But, like, things like that that I never thought I would have played, and I've played them on PC because 'cause I'm like, "Well, it's easy enough to, like, download them and try them and in real time and with friends and all this other
Mhm.
stuff." And it's just like, I feel like the gaming world has opened up so much, and there's so many different genres,
Mhm.
and because there's so many indie studios, there's so much more accessibility to gaming. And I don't even just mean, like, accessibility for people that have, like, different abled bodies and different abled needs, right? Like,
Mhm.
just the games that you can find are so much more accessible to any sort of interest that people might have,
Mhm.
right? And I think that, like, that alone should tell people it doesn't matter how old you are, right? And I saw something, and I know I posted it to Instagram the other day. I don't know if I can still see it because I had to put it as a story. But interestingly enough, according to Women in Games, the average gamer is 41 years old. Like,
It's
for
the age group. It's
it's the
I
age
I
group.
like
It's
I
the
s like we
millennial age
talked about
group.
it. Mhm. Like we talked about, like, is it us trying to rekindle, like, the nostalgia? Is it us, you know, it's a way to blow off steam? Is it, you know, us not getting a certain part of our childhood? Probably all 3 of those things, you
Mhm.
know? Um, like, w our lives revolved around big events,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
and, you have, like, economy crashes and terrorism and things like that that happen during our
Mhm.
lifetime that I feel like, I don't wanna be like, "Poor us," but, like, they sucked some of our childhood.
Yeah.
And I feel like now like, I don't go outside of my the music I listen to, like, I have a playlist, and the music I like to listen to, and it's from 2007 to 2012, and the first time I messaged you was me saying, "The lyrics in your Discord profile was my MySpace song in 2007." And I think that's the first thing I ever said to you.
Listen, Straight Light Run is amazing, okay?
I
Like
know. Um, yeah, and, that's the first thing I ever said to you was, "I like the lyrics in your song were my MySpace profile." So, like, I average age, I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I think there is, you know and this I think I've talked about a little bit on the podcast before, and I'm not a mental health professional. I married one, but I am not one, right? But there is a certain comfort in the things that we, like, know from certain time periods of our life, right? Even if some of those time periods may have been a little tumultuous, let's say,
Mhm,
right? But there is some comfort in that. And sometimes I think the comfort is, well, you made it through, right? And this song may have been important
mhm,
to you at this time and you made it through whatever that was. And it's a sign of strength
mhm,
and whatever. And people replay the same games or watch the same shows because it not cures, it calms their anxiety.
mhm.
And it's something that you don't have to feel anxious about because you know what's coming, you know what's next, right? Like, all those things, right?
Exactly.
And
That's
I
why I've
think
watched The Office. What is it, like, it's getting up to 40 times through.
Yeah, but I think that is, like, so real with gaming too, though, right? It's like revisiting those old games, or even if it's not exactly that game, like, that franchise or that genre, or staying very closely related to those things, right? And I know that I'm, like, probably most people's resident Pokemon hater, right? But I understand why people feel that way about it. So I think there is a lot of, like, we went through some things that I'm not going to say altered brain chemistry, but definitely made us reflect on things differently and shaped
Mhm,
us into who we are, better or worse, right?
mhm.
And it's okay to acknowledge that and be like, well, now that I have the time and I'm not even gonna say disposable income. I have access to credit cards, right? I'm gonna buy myself things that, like, or whatever your deal is. If you got disposable income, great. If you got access to credit cards to buy your games, do you, boo boo, right? Whatever it
Mhm,
is. But now you can explore those parts of yourself that maybe at some point, were quieted down or suppressed, or, you know, you got to age 16 and it was like, all right, time to take the PSATs and the SATs and then apply to college and go on college tours and all this stuff. You didn't have time to sit and game. And now that you're a little bit more settled in your life, like maybe you do have that time, right?
Mhm.
And I think also think about how accessible it is. There's more handheld gaming systems, right? So there is also that adds to it. Um, you know, if you are a mobile gamer, right? And I don't even mean like the slot machines and all those other types of games, even though I will include those, right? But I'm even thinking some of these gotcha games that I'm guilty of playing, right? Like they're on
Mhm.
mobile and they look amazing, and some of their stories are great, right? Like Honkai Impact, or not Honkai Impact, Honkai Star Rail still probably has one of the best intros for a game that I've seen in a long time because of the music and the art style, and it's a free to play game and you can play it on your phone, right? So like there is just so much more being able to play these games on almost anything and everything, that it makes sense that the age is older and that we're revisiting these hobbies because life is hard. Life sometimes sucks, and if you need that escape, right? And an escape where you're still sort of an active participant, right? Because I always think of
Mhm.
movies and TVs as like much more passive,
Mhm.
but you want to be active in it. Video games are great for that.
Yeah. And the social aspect of video games too.
Yeah, which is a
Like
whole new like thing. And I say new,
yeah.
in new, and I think the way that social works now, right? Like
Mhm.
10-ish years ago, you and I might not be sitting on Discord the same way talking about
Mhm.
games.
Yep. My husband and his best friend, who are actually in his office, like, over Discord, they have a weekly get together over Skype. His best friend, we also live in New York, lives in California, and he has a family, and we have a family, like, and so, like, them being able to find time
Mhm.
to ever meet in person is they've never met in person, but they have been friends longer than him and I have been together, and they carve out time in their week to play video games with each other. And like with Discord, with the ability, like Steam being able to multiplayer on, I can't even tell you probably what they're playing right now. It changes. It changes. It
Yeah.
changes a lot. But it brings people together. Like I play DBD with a whole bunch of different people, a game that, like we talked about, is not usually part of my repertoire, but I play it.
Mhm.
Um,
And
you
is
got
good at it, right? Don't let her tell you otherwise.
I'm not
Good at it.
no, no, no. No.
Yes.
But but, like, we were talking about, like, even, like, The Sims. The Sims has been around since 2000. I was 10, 11 years old, and, uh, the nostalgia it brings still as an adult is still there.
Mhm.
Like, being like, the creativity of being able to create your own character, your house, the life you wanna live, things like that, and, um, with all the controversy going on right now, I like, we spoke briefly about it, but, like, there's so much going on behind the scenes with that, like,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know, like, with the repurchase, there's a lot of people who have also found the nostalgia stepping back from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to, like, skirt away from,
No,
like, what
no,
we were
no.
talking about, but,
It's valid though.
The Sim
I think that speaks to, you know, and some people may think it's silly. I'm not gonna say it's silly because I think it's valid and it's real. And, again, it's like the escape of things when we need it, right? I think it's for some people, because the memories that they may have created around it, right? The sale and the anxiety of what that sale could mean for this game that has become so open and accepting and working towards so much more of that. That
Mhm,
could be a tumultuous event in, like gaming for some people, in their hobby, in,
mhm,
all of that, because this could have been a place where you were able to explore maybe different facets of yourself, design yourself in a way that feels appropriate to you, right? Do all these things. Obviously, and you can correct me, but in like recent years, I would say the last 2 or 3, that's when we got the ability to choose, like, can the sim get pregnant? Can the sim make others pregnant? Right. And like
Yeah.
exploring all of that, right? And
Mhm.
for some people, that in itself is a safe space, right?
Mhm.
To do
And
that.
it's seeing yourself be like, just seeing a version of yourself,
Mhm.
whether that's, who you are, who you want to be, being I can't think today. My brain, like I said, it's a Thursday, my
It's
brain
a
is fried at
Thursday
this point.
night.
Yeah, just seeing examples of yourself, um, on the screen and seeing the Sims developers lean into that more and more.
Mhm.
We've got hearing aids, we've got
Body hair.
glucometers. Yeah, we've got body hair, you know, um how you present yourself,
Mhm.
um polyamory, things like that. There's the ability to do those things has been so more and more as the years. That's what people are afraid of, to be able to be creative, to be able to be themselves, to be able to be there, you know do what they want in this game,
Mhm.
um be taken away is surely understandable.
Yeah,
Like, and
absolutely.
as and I will tell you, I am a huge Sims player. I have I have a recorded 1,300 hours in this recorded
In Sims 4.
1,300 in Sims 4,
Mhm.
just Sims 4. Um, and, I had it on another computer when they didn't have the EA or whatever,
Mhm.
I forget, Origin,
Origin,
when I
yeah.
had it. Yeah, so I don't have those recorded hours, so I'm sure it's more than 1,300. The game is when did Sims 4 come out?
Oh
Let's see.
god.
Sims 4
It's
came
it's been
out in
years.
2014. It's as old as
Ooh.
my marriage. So,
Wowza.
yeah, so 11 years. Um, so, you know, it I mean, we should have a Sims 5 by now, but, uh, but at the same time, it's like a lot of us have spent thousands of dollars
Mhm.
on expansion packs and
Mhm.
kits and all that stuff, and it's it feels like if this is ripped away, and I feel like as a Sims player, I have my opinion is on this is like, not the top of the ranks because there's other people who probably have more hours than me, but as someone who has invested in this game, and it's an investment, um,
Mhm.
it's it's shitty that we have to feel this way about a game we have loved. Now, the developers have come out with, you know, our mission, values, and commitment remain the same. The Sims will always be a space where you can express your authentic self.
Mhm.
I get it. I get them wanting to, uh, but it's not very comforting.
Well, and I think it's tough because I think the thing is those developers can absolutely hold on to those ideals and keep putting those ideals forward, right? But
Mhm,
there is only so much power that they have, and
mhm,
and I say there's only so much power that they have because they don't own it in the same way, right? So now the people that
mhm,
own,
mhm,
EA, that which is, what owns The Sims, they could gut everybody, right? So it's like I think that's where a lot of the fear comes from. And it's understandable, right? Because I think there is a lot of fear that the people and the devs who have worked hard to represent and work for and with the people in the Sims community could be ripped away, right? And that is
mhm,
very much obviously like something that could happen, and I hope not, right? But that is a
mhm,
reality of the situation, right?
mhm,
That this is something to be nervous about, and I don't wanna say anticipate because obviously I hope that's not what happens, but
Mhm.
it is something that could linger in the back of people's minds because it can happen, right? And again, I hope
Mhm.
it doesn't, and I know that for a lot of people, some of that fear comes from who purchased EA and, you know, beliefs and things like that. And I cannot speak for everybody there, and I'm not going to speak for everybody there, right? You know, obviously, I think the maybe silver lining is that at the end of the day, they are a business, right?
Mhm.
And many people, money talks more than their supposed morals, right?
Mhm.
And that could keep the Sims safe, right?
Mhm.
I think there is also a and this is true, I think, of generations in a lot of different countries too. Um, the younger generation, and I know this isn't comforting like in the here and now, but the younger generation is also a bit more open and accepting, right? And I
Mhm.
have people in my circle and in my community that are from that country, and I've seen them interact with people who care deeply about things like The Sims, and it has always been respectful and accepting who they are and all of that, right? So there is, on the negative optimistic side, there is the hope that money talks more than morals, right? And
Mhm.
then on, the more positive optimistic side, it's that there is a shift in the way people are viewed, and but again, a lot of that comes from like younger generations
Mhm.
having more access to different viewpoints thanks to the internet, yada yada yada, right?
Mhm.
And all of that. So there is that level of things, right? And I have seen moments where people are like, I know, where they've said, I know what people think of my country and where I live, but that also is not representative of me, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes I do get nervous where it's like, yes, I know that's not representative of you, and it's unfortunate that you have to hear all these things just
Yeah.
because of where you are, right? Um, so I think it's also of dealing with those dualities of things, right? Like, how do
Mhm.
you, how do you as a person, and not obviously you, but anybody who's listening or people that are part of that Sims community very strongly, like, how do you wrestle with that, right? And how do you
Mhm.
feel like you are still in this safe, accepting community, knowing that there very much could be this overshadowing of people who don't believe in that safe community, right? And that's hard to wrestle with, and I don't
Mhm.
expect anyone to have an answer necessarily. Um, but I think it's good that the devs have said something. I think it's good that so far at least, right? And again,
Yeah.
I phrase this as at least, not to be pessimistic, but that at least for now, right, the devs are still there and they're still moving
Mhm.
forward with the things that they have. And, that's where I hope that the money,
Yeah,
oversees the
money
morals,
talks. Yeah.
so that they can keep doing that and keep making it
Mhm.
as safe of a space as they can. Cause I think there are very few safe spaces like that, right? The other one that comes to mind that is still running, and I don't know enough about it to talk too much about it. And it's very different than The Sims, but I know Second Life um, is still like, active and open and, very much about being who you are. But there are elements of there are elements of The Sims that are not in Second Life, right? So it's like
Mhm.
the experience that you get from The Sims is not going to be the same. Yes, there is a community that will accept you however you want to put yourself forward in this online community and however you want to be. But I think The Sims is so much more approachable in so many
Mhm.
ways that it would be really difficult to see that, to see that go away
Mhm.
and to see that not be as safe and um, beloved as it is now.
Yeah. And a lot of, big creators have stepped
Mhm.
away out of the creator program, um, as, like, a sign of, like, "No, we don't like what
Mhm.
this is happening," and they're hoping that it creates just, like, a "we're standing on business" type of thing. Even
Mhm.
people who have, like, Lil Simsy, she's probably one of the most,
Oh yeah.
prevalent people in the Sims 4 community, who has who even designed her own pack.
Mhm.
And, I believe she designed it in January of the beginning of like this year. And even she stepped back. She will not be, making any more content, blah, yada, yada. Um, I think she said she would make less content, but she won't be she won't get early access and things like that
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I have friends who are in the Sims community that are sticking around. Um, because, they're smaller creators. They're
Mhm.
not, as high as a level of some of these, who are making more money. Um, and that's how they support themselves.
Mhm.
And regardless of where you stand in this situation, like whether you've stepped back from making Sims content or you're continuing to make Sims content currently, like do what you need to do. Like
Mhm.
it's not like we're going to dislike you because you've stepped back or vice versa. It's do what you need to do in this time to
Mhm.
help you,
Yeah.
to help you. Um, because I'm all for still making content. I personally won't be playing Sims anymore on stream only because I just feel I I'm not the talk of AI as well being
Mhm.
added into Sims. It's a huge reason why I stepped back from playing a game like Onzoi because of the AI. As someone who is a musician, as someone who is an artist, AI hurts me.
Yeah,
And I and
100%.
I I know it hurts my fellow artists and fellow musicians as well, and it just really, really stinks, um, that it's being more and more incorporated specifically into The Sims too. Like, I know that um, they want to I read up on it maybe a couple days ago that they wanted to, they partnered with Stability AI to infuse generative AI into their workflow. So, uh, it's hard to kinda say what that is
Mhm.
until I dig a little deeper. Now, I'll be playing offline, but it's not something I will continue to stream personally, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Um, it's just there are so many other great games we can play too. We've got Paralives, who I have been waiting years for. If I go back and I look at my wish list and see how long Paralyze has been on there, let's see.
I'm trying to
It
think
has
of when
been
that
on
was
my
first
wish list
announced.
2021. It
Oh
has
my
been on my
god.
wish list. It has been on my wish list that long, and it's supposed to release on December 8th in early access, but um I'm excited to see what it brings.
Mhm.
Um I thought Onzoi would do that. It didn't do it for me. It if you're into the lifelike, like really lifelike looking
Mhm.
type of simulation, it might be a game for you. Personally wasn't one for me. But Paralives looks right up what I want it to be. It feels like it's a mix of Sims meets I'm trying to remember Tiny Bookshop. If any of
Okay.
you
Mhm.
cozy players have played the cozy tiny bookshop, like almost painted type
Mhm.
animation, it
Yeah.
feels very similar to that. And I'm just really, really excited for it to come out. Um, and it's probably the perfect time for it to come out with
Mhm.
all, the sim stuff going on. Um, you know, uh they probably couldn't have picked a better drop date. Um, but, I have been waiting for it for 4 years now, so they could have dropped it at any time and I would have been happy. So, um, yeah, Paralives is one to look for,
Yeah. No, I
for
think
sure.
I think that's all valid, and I think in terms of, like, creators stepping away in whatever shape that looks like, right?
Mhm,
And ones that step away for their own, like, peace of mind, right? And the ones that stick
mhm,
with it, right? Because obviously we know there will also be people that stick with it, right?
mhm.
And that's okay, right? Because you might have
Yeah,
already invested money in it, right? If you've bought all the
mhm,
packs like many of us have.
yep,
Right,
mhm,
you may have other reasons to explore that, and the flip side of it too is, like, you playing it is also showing that there is still interest in the way that it is
Mhm.
shaped now and showing the devs, right? Not the people that
Mhm.
own the company, the devs that, like, you still appreciate the work that they did and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think the devs probably, at least a good chunk of them, also understand why people would step away, right? And I
Mhm.
think that, and again, one of those things to wrestle with, right? But I think that is also like, what is your comfort level, right? And
Mhm.
what is, what you would hope is the people that you're surrounded by, right? What are they, willing to take in as a creator, right? Obviously, as just a player,
Mhm.
whatever your prerogative doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Right? I very rarely stream The Sims. I have streamed it before. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I've done it once or twice and done silly things with it, and it has crowd control, so I've put on crowd control so people can
Yeah.
mess with my
Mhm.
game and whatever. Um, and that's not to say that I will never stream it again. It's never been something that I stream fairly regularly anyway,
Mhm.
right? Um, but what I would hope is that there wouldn't be people that then would come in and be like, you shouldn't be streaming this, right? Or you
Yeah.
shouldn't be playing this. And I'm sure that's gonna be out there, and I've dealt with my fair share of trolls, right? And I've, had people come in and try to say things and, like, mess up my flow and whatever. Thankfully, as a Leo, as a Puerto Rican, I ain't afraid, and as a New Yorker, I ain't afraid of a little confrontation, right? So
Yeah.
bring it on.
Mhm.
Right? So, like, let's go. But, right, you would hope that other people would be a little more, like, understanding of, I'm not gonna ruin this for you. I may not personally play it. I may not personally stream it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
But,
100%. I'm still gonna
enjoy it.
support Sims 4 streamers. Like, you do you, baby.
Mhm.
It's just, personally, it just doesn't feel like I want to continue to invest in
Yeah.
this content personally.
Yeah.
Will I still play it off stream when I want to and
Go for it.
feel the nostalgia? Yes, yes. It doesn't mean that at all, and it doesn't mean I will be one of those trolls who's like, "Why are you playing this?"
How dare
It's it's
you?
a
Mhm.
it's a good freaking game, and don't you ever tell people that a Sims player is not a gamer or a person who plays video games, because it is very much so. Have you ever had 8 people and 2 pets in your house and tried to feed them and make sure they didn't piss themselves? No, you haven't. So don't tell me I'm not a gamer. You know what I mean? So like I think at this point it's I hate saying it's a waiting game. I
But
hate
it
saying it's a
is.
waiting, but
It is.
it really truly is. Um this is me saying that I really truly do hope that it continues to be the safe place we've
Mhm.
loved and built over the past 11 years,
Mhm.
because it has given so much people hope. It has given myself hope. It has given, it is that warm and comfy place that of a lot of us like to sit with it open for 10 hours building a house
Mhm.
and, sitting in casts for an hour, making sure your character has the best hair.
Yeah.
And so if you're continuing to play the game, continue to play the game. For those who have stepped away,
Step away, take
thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Like I have friends who have exclusively been, I'll say exclusively been DVD streamers for however many years that they've streamed. They'll do a variety here and there, but they stepped back and started, you know, exploring other
Mhm.
games. And, it at first they were like, "It really hurt my viewership." Like, people know me for playing this
X
game.
game, yeah.
And yeah, and they've stepped back from it, and a lot of people were like, "Yes, it might hurt your viewership, but I know that if you find a game that you enjoy that's outside of what you've normally played,
Mhm.
people are gonna notice that you enjoy the game,
Yeah.
and new people will come around, or the old ones will come back and see the joy of you playing a game." And, it might hurt at first because,
Mhm.
as, like, someone who makes content, you do look at your viewership. You do look at your how many people are sitting in your chat or things like that, and you can't do that as that's my number 1 rule to someone who's like, "What's some advice you wanna give to someone who wants to start streaming?" Don't look at your viewership. Don't.
Mhm.
I know you want to, but don't. Don't.
That goes for
Talk to
everything,
yourself.
though. I like,
Yeah.
honestly, that goes for everything, right? Because and I'm guilty of it too, right? And I'm gonna say this now, and you bet your ass I'm gonna do the same thing, right? Because over the weekend, I'm gonna edit this and I'm gonna upload it, right?
Mhm.
And then am I gonna be that same jerk who's then looking like, "Oh, how many likes does it have? How many views does it have?" Right? Of course I am, right?
Mhm.
Of course I am. I already
Yep.
mentioned that I'm a Leo, right? I'm vain, right? I want the attention, right? Like, I'm gonna look, right? Full disclosure,
I'm Virgo.
I don't fully believe in, like, all of that, but it's nice to throw around for, like, silly moments like this, but, and if
Yep.
you believe in it, cool. I don't know. I'm like,
I'm a
I just don't have
Virgo.
it.
I'm apparently anal and very organized. You can't see my desk, but it is not organized. But I am when it comes to certain things, people are like, "You're so organized." I was like, "And everything but my life."
Right, right.
Everything but my life. So I get it. Like,
No, but,
it's I
I'm
it
gonna look. I'm gonna look,
yeah.
right? And I think, you know, I'm guilty of this sometimes, not all the time. Depends on what I write, I'll be honest,
Mhm.
right? When I'm writing, like, news pieces for the site, right? If it's a news piece that I was, like, super invested in, right? I might go back and be like, "Oh, how many people read this? How many people read this review?" Right?
Mhm.
I had put together, like, the realization, like, guide for Date Everything, and I was like, "Oh my
Yep.
god, that many people looked at it? Oh my god," right? And that was, like, a big thing. If it's things that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm covering this thing because it's, like, newsworthy and people should know it," but I don't really, whatever, I probably won't look, right? But, things that you're personally invested in, you are gonna go back and look and
Yeah.
reflect, right? And you
Mhm.
know, so yes, I'm personally invested in this podcast, so you better make sure you leave a like on this podcast if you're watching it. You know, right? So it's like I'm gonna do that, right? Like, but I think as a good rule of thumb, at least maybe in the moment, don't look at the likes,
Yeah.
don't look at it,
After the stream,
They'll send
take
you
a
an
look
email.
because yeah, like it does. It's like, "Here's your stream summary," and it will be like, "You're down negative 10% of likes," or something, and, use the time after, but don't
Mhm.
do it in the moment. If you're constantly looking down at your, like, viewer count, you're not focusing and enjoying your game, which is
No.
100% why you're playing it, or it should be why you're playing it, not because your mods wanna torture you and make you play Resident Evil 7.
Okay, but some of my mods do wanna torture me, and it's great for the content. And you know what?
It
Forget just the mods wanting to torture me, right? In past episodes, for those of you who have been watching and listening, right? V wants to torture me playing Dark Souls 2, although we've come to a compromise on Code Vein, right? But, like, it's not just the mods, it's
it's
everybody.
true. It's true. I mean, I did a fundraiser and my,
But that's for charity, that's
community
different.
it's true. It's for charity, and it was either Once Human or, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. What do you think they chose?
I'm gonna go with Resident Evil.
Yeah. I got halfway through the game and was like, "There's so many clips of me just" like, the
Mhm.
entire time because I'll play Phasmo. It doesn't phase me anymore. But you put Jack chase me around a house, and I have no way to defend myself. Yeah, I'm gonna scream like a little girl. So, you know, I if that like I said, if that's the one thing of advice for people who are making content, stop looking at your viewers when you're streaming.
Yeah,
Um,
don't do
focus
it.
on your game. Yep. And picking it if and we talk about like games that are like trending and things like that, if it's not a game that you don't think you can find enjoyment in,
Mhm.
eh, people c your
People can
viewers are
tell.
very people can tell,
Mhm.
100%, 100%. So play games you wanna play.
I played Elden Ring once on
Mhm,
stream, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it.
mhm,
And I know there are people that are gonna watch this and like it and like Elden Ring. I hated it. And the worst part was I think I played it for about 2.5 hours. And people that I know who enjoy Elden Ring, they were like, "But you're doing really good for someone who doesn't play these types of games." And I was like, "That's great, but I hate this." I was like, "If someone told me I had to, like, play this again or I could never play a game again in my lifetime. I would never play a game in my lifetime. Like, that was and there were people that came in, and they were like, "You look miserable." And I was like, "I am miserable playing this game." Right? And then, of course, some people stuck
Mhm.
around for the rage and to hear me complain about it and blah, 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 right? But I was like, "But that's the thing," like and it was very clear on my face because I wasn't using a VTuber at the time. Right, very obvious that, like, this sucks, and again, to people who enjoy those games, no hate to you, just not my game, and I'm sure if you were to sit there and watch me play it, you too would be like, "Wow, you look miserable, maybe play something else," right? And yes, I am guilty of sometimes rage baiting people with the things that I say about games. Um, I have played Stardew on stream maybe twice,
Mhm.
and I think one of my most watched clips is like 3 seconds, and it's me saying Stardew sucks, right? And obviously, like, some of that is like,
Yeah.
rage baiting or whatever. And I was like and listen, I have my reasoning, okay? I'm like, don't give me this cute, cozy game and then give me all these people that are like mentally traumatized and all this stuff that's happening with the veneer of everything is cozy and everything is great. And how dare you trigger me with the fact that my grandfather would ever leave me a plot of land? Nobody in my family is giving me a plot of land. And I don't have any grandfathers because they all left my grandmother. So how dare you trigger me this way with family history? Okay. How dare you? Right now, obviously, that is an example of like the rage bait and complaining. And, and some of it is entertaining
Mhm.
and funny and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, right? Or can be, if you are much better at delivery than I am, right? So like there there is that, but at the same time, there is also a level of like play what you enjoy, play what makes you happy. I thankfully, when we did that, I was playing with friends,
Mhm.
so it was still an enjoyable experience for the most part. Like mocking my friends who enjoyed it, and Sean was playing with us, and he loves Stardew. He's bought it at least twice. He also loves his, like, cozy ooh-woo games, he's all about them. I am not. I had to buy a whole separate Switch just because of Animal Crossing when he got Animal Crossing, right? So, like,
Which with that new
which
update,
oh, yeah, he wrote the article today. I saw that news went up, and I
I
messaged
saw
him. I was
that.
like, "Oh, you gonna write this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna write it." He's like, "After this meeting, I'm probably gonna write if nobody else does." And he wrote it. He's like, "I'm gonna have to dust off my Switch. I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Thank God we still have 2 Switches in this house." Right? So whatever. But like, so and I am definitely the type of person where I'm like, I will try any game once, right?
Mhm.
Um, but if I hate it, I probably won't go back to it. Or I will do the thing that made a lot of people very angry at me, where I was like, okay, if we hit this charity goal, I'll play a Pokemon game. I never once said what Pokemon game.
Mhm.
So I played Let's Go Pikachu, and people were so mad. They're like, that's not a real Pokemon game. How dare you? I was like, I said I'd play a Pokemon game. I never said which Pokemon game,
Which
and
Pokemon
y'all
game?
never clarified, right? So I'm playing this knockoff Pokemon Go on my Switch, and we're gonna play it for 2 hours, and then we're gonna peace out, right? So, so obviously there is some level of that. So I am guilty of all these things too, but, when it comes to streaming and gaming,
Mhm.
life is short. Your time is precious. Play the things that you
Mhm.
enjoy and don't look at the numbers. The numbers will
Yep.
drive you nuts. And we all do it. And then I think
Mhm.
we either grow out of it or we stop. And I think that's been the
Yep.
reality that I've seen with a lot of people.
Mhm. I will tell you, um, last year, for the charity stream, I let my mods choose my mods for Skyrim. And Skyrim was a game that I kind of like, got into a little bit and was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna ride a horse around the entire time." Like
Love
that's my
Skyrim.
type of like Skyrim. My mods added the funniest stuff.
Did you have Thomas the
Anytime
Tank Engine?
no, I had Randy Savage.
Okay,
Every
valid.
time the dragon came around, it was like snap to Slim Jim. Every time it roared,
I love that
um,
so much.
it was hilarious because then it had the hat and the long hair and the cowboy boots.
Mm,
It was
I love
I
that.
There was one where I was trying to kill the dragon on top of the mountaintop and it kept yelling, "Stop it to a slam jam!" And I could not. I could not. They also had, instead of horses, it was cars. So I was riding a yellow Maserati or something around,
Oh
and it
my
would make
god.
the instead of like the horse noises. The moon was the Death Star. Um, the coins were Chuck E. Cheese tokens. And then anytime I shoot an arrow, it was pew pew. And the
I
piece de
love it.
resistance was my favorite, and I didn't notice it the entire time. All the cages were made of Nicolas Cage faces.
Oh my god.
But there were
That's
so many that I
amazing.
didn't realize, and I had no idea what the mods were
Mhm.
until I loaded up the game and saw them in real time. Like the whole entry speech where he's like, good, you've woken up.
Mhm.
Um, use Gen Z slang.
Oh, I've seen that mod. Yes, I have seen that one.
It's
Mhm.
like skibbity toilet. And I was like, what is this lingo? Am I old? It was really funny though. I will admit Skyrim was not a game that I saw myself playing or playing a lot of hours in. And because of the mods, because of, we said growth,
Mhm.
you know, I played so many hours in that game and enjoyed it. So this is not telling you, if you don't think you would enjoy a game, to not play it, to try it like Candy does. One time. If you
Mhm.
like it, keep playing. Otherwise,
And if you do it
don't.
on Steam, you get like 2 hours and you can return it.
Yep. I think with shorter games though,
With
I
shorter games,
think,
it's a different yeah, but a game like
yeah.
Skyrim, you'll know in 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, you'll know pretty quick.
You'll know. Okay, so,
For sure.
because I wanna make sure we get to this, because I know
Yes.
we've done this out of order.
Yes.
Would you want to see Pedro, not Pascal, Pedro Eustache, better known as Flute Guy, at the Game Awards, play songs from Skyrim on the flute?
Yeah, of course. Skyrim has a banging is that word still used?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that soundtrack is amazing. Skyrim is an amazing soundtrack. Baldur's Gate. Didn't they play no, did they play that or what did they play at
Last year?
2024?
Ooh, that is a really good question.
They play it from
Um,
Black Myth?
I don't remember what he played last year, actually.
I don't know. But if you don't know who we're talking about, there is a gentleman, his name is Pedro Ustav?
Eustache? I mean,
Ustav.
I don't know
Ustav.
the yeah, I don't know the, appropriate pronunciation only 'cause, I guess he's,
He's Venezuelan.
Venezuelan, and
Yeah.
s different Spanish dialects pronounce things a little differently.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
flute guy.
Yeah. If you don't know who we're talking about, go every time Flute Guy went hard at the Game Awards on YouTube, you
Mhm.
will find him. Uh, he played in the Dune soundtrack. Anything Hans Zimmer gives him, I guess he's a really big Hans Zimmer like soundtrack fan. Um, so please go check him out. He's one of my favorite things to watch at the Gamer Awards. And I'm excited to what the next Game Awards brings. I think they played Black Myth Wukong last time at
There were
2020.
I know last year there were, like, quite a few really good performances,
Mhm.
and I can't remember, like, which ones specifically
Yeah.
he was a part of.
What's the one with the uh, her name's Alloy. Which one?
Horizon Zero Dawn
Yeah.
or Forbidden West.
Yeah. So I think they played that one. Just go watch this guy. It goes so hard. And I will tell you one of the most entertaining things. I'm not a huge award show watcher. Like I just find it very eh. But I will watch it for Pedro. Apparently Pedros are my thing.
Apparently. Oh, you know what? He was part last year, it looks like he was part of the whole, like, game of the year also, like, a
Oh,
full
yeah.
recap. So it was like Balatro, Metaphor, um, oh, what the hell else was Final Fantasy, I think was nominated for Game of the Year. There were quite a few big ones, for the
Astro
Game of
was
the
it
Year. Astrobot,
Astro? Yep.
because
Yep.
Astrobot won. Um,
Mhm.
I still haven't played Astrobot, but Astrobot was one that was on there. I really wanted
Mhm.
Metaphor to win. Um, I'm biased. Again, JRPGs, Atlas. I'm an Atlas fangirl. I will give them all my money. Um, Also, I just thought Metaphor was a banging game. Um, you know,
I I will tell you, none of the games that I like to play, and this is not talking bad about anything, just never
hmm,
make it into the game award, like, the
that's
top game of the
valid.
years, and, that's okay.
Hmm.
When we try to vote in the channel and everyone's like, "I love this game, I love this game," I was like, "I like this weird indie game. I like this weird indie cozy game."
I no, you know what? I
Like
think I think that's so valid. And V and I talked about this on an episode before. We were like, there almost needs to be more slash different categories, right?
but
Um,
then you would have, like, a 6-hour long
You would have, like well,
award show.
I was like, "You should do" and okay, this sounds awful if you are really into esports, and I'm sorry, for anybody who's listening who's really into esports. Do like they do at, like, the Academy Awards, where, like, the awards that the everyday person doesn't care about, those are all done during the pre-show, right? Like,
Yeah.
esports, like, even content creator of the year, right? And again, I'm a whatever, like, we make content too, right? But that could all be beforehand, right? Also, there's already the streamer awards that Cutie Cinderella does, like, that can all be there, right? We don't need that here. Like,
Yeah.
you could have that
Mhm.
in the pre-show and add 1 or 2 more categories, and maybe for games, just like that, where
Mhm.
they're much more indie, they're much more, niche in certain ways, right? Because yeah, like those games are not going to fit into your JRPG, your FPS, all these different things. And there are so many of those that come out. And it's not fair to not give them a fighting chance or some sort of recognition, right?
Mhm.
Obviously you have your giants like your Stardew and your Animal Crossing, but for every one of those, there's 10 other games that,
Mhm.
can be like really amazing, right? And
Yeah.
do just and even as someone who doesn't play those games, right? I understand that there's and you know, work that goes into it from the developers and a level of care and there are fan bases specifically for those games, right? So
Mhm.
I think they do deserve some sort of recognition. So like throw esports team to the pre-show, right? Throw it everywhere else. Like we don't need all that, right? Get rid of content
Mhm.
creator of the year or streamer of the year, or whatever it is at the Game Awards. Let Cutie Cinderella deal
Which
with it, right? Like
which which if you're content creator of the year, this is not a dig at you at all.
no,
Congratulations. You deserve it.
yes,
I
I'm
just,
jealous, but I want
yeah,
to see
I will
games represented.
I let me tell you, I will never see my name even be even considered for that category. We're not even aiming for that. We're not even aiming for partner. We're just doing our thing
We're just
over on the
chilling.
internet. Yes, but I do feel like, and I'm gonna go back to my favorite game that got released last year was called Ete, and it's not because I'm on their Steam page. I'm not. It's not because I'm just quoted on their Steam page, which I I'll bring that up time and time again. But
As you should.
um, Ete, it, it was one of my top beautiful game. I found nothing wrong with that game ever. And I don't feel like it got the love it deserved.
Is it because Flute Guy didn't play any of the music from it?
100%. It was because it was not featured with Fukai.
Hmm.
So, um, I think it's one game that people do need to take a look at it. It's about 2 years old at this point, but I still think it's a great game. There are so many
Hmm.
games that are coming out that are great. Um, that will probably never make it to the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Um, which is sad. Like, is there a chance that Repo might make it? There's a chance. Like Repo just
Maybe
came out with
multiplayer. Like,
yeah, giant update. Like Repo came out with a giant update. Was it today? Yesterday? That they added
mhm,
a whole bunch of new stuff.
yeah.
Um, you've got. Headliners. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Headliners?
I've heard of it, but I have not played it. Or
Okay,
I've played a little bit of Repo.
um it is I don't know if it's still in early access, but um you're basically press and you get dropped in the middle of an apocalyptic zone in an apocalyptic city. You have to earn a certain amount by taking photos as aliens and, King Kong and things like
Yes,
that
I do
ravage the
remember
city.
this. Hmm.
There's there's so many little games that I have picked up this year that are multiplayer that are so fun and so wonderful that I feel need to be nominated. I want there to be more talk about the little people and the little guys.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
agree. I mean, I'm even thinking, in terms of games that you and I have both played, right? We both played Date
mhm,
Everything this
yeah,
year, right? I know a lot of people who have played Date Everything.
mhm,
It, sold lots of copies, 500,000.
mhm,
It has an insane amount of voice actors, right?
mhm,
When they released their thing saying that they had 500,000 copies sold, they did quote Gamer Social Club. They quoted my article. It was the first one on there, and I
mhm,
was super excited, right? Much like you with the Steam, right?
mhm.
And I was like, hey, wait, those are my words. Um, I was like, hold on, that's so cool, right? But where would you put that in the Game Awards?
Yeah,
Is there a category? And I I mean, what best you're like story? Like, when you think
thirsty
about
game of the year.
narrative, I mean, yeah, right, thirsty game of the year, right? It's like that let's face it, that doesn't have the best narrative, right?
No.
It's like and that's maybe the only thing that I could think that a game like that would end up sort of being maybe even considered for, right? Because there's not a visual novel category, and I don't think that there necessarily should be a visual novel category, although maybe this year between Date Everything and Dispatch, I'll sort of rethink that, right? And Dispatch is still
Yeah.
coming out, so, but there's not a ton of visual novels in
Mhm.
that way, and they're not mainstream. They're and visual novels in themselves are such a wide variety of
Yeah.
of things, right? So to be like, "Here's a visual novel category," no, like, that doesn't seem like enough. Um,
Mhm.
you know, best so it's like, where does a game like that go? A game that was so celebrated, right? A game that so many people enjoyed, right? A game
Mhm.
that, that's their debut title, right? Like, when you think about all these things, like, where are you fitting a game like that in, right? A game that does deserve recognition, right? And yet
Mhm.
I don't see it being there, and maybe I'll be wrong, which will be great, and I'll be happy to be wrong,
Yeah.
right? But games like that, where do they go? Where do these indie games go, right? Because if you have one
Mhm.
indie category, right, this
And
year
you have
you have, uh, Peak, right? Like,
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah.
smaller indie games are not gonna compete with Peak. They're just not
Mhm.
going to.
Yeah. Or Repo, or despite them being small indie creators, like small indie things,
Massive.
yeah, you put, like, Peak and, Repo up in those categories. Yeah. You put some of the smaller games up against them. And it's not that the game that they're going up against, like, the smaller indie games aren't good or good enough to be in the same category. It's just that not a lot of people know about them
Yep.
as the other games.
Yeah.
So, I I don't know. It we could talk about it all day if I'm being honest, because there's so many games that,
Mhm.
like, we could go back and forth rattling off games that we think should be at the Game Awards this year.
100%.
So
100%.
so
And and that's why I think get rid of some of these categories. Phew, sorry. I
bless you.
Thank you. It was not close enough to the, mute button on my thing. Um, but I think, like, some of these categories don't need to necessarily be at the Game Awards. Let there be other categories to highlight some of those, right? Um, and you could borrow some of the ideas that, like, they have in, some of these, like, streamer awards to some extent, right? Like, I know there's, like, Hidden Gem Award, right? You could
Mhm.
do, like, a hidden gem for indies, right? Because again, Repo, uh, even, like, the headliners, Peak, those are not hidden gems. Those are huge, those are out
Mhm.
there, right? Like, they're the hidden gems are, and all right, I'm gonna name some things having not played some of them, right? But hidden
Mhm.
gems are, maybe your tiny bookshop, right? Or,
Yep.
like those are like the hidden gems where it's like you haven't sold as many copies, but the product, the development that went into it, right? Whether it's the story or the graphics or something about that game makes it highly ranked, very well done, blah 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 blah, right? But it just maybe because of how niche it is, didn't sell the same number of copies,
Mhm.
right? Or they didn't have as big of a budget for advertisements,
Yeah.
right? Or especially things like Tiny Bookshop where it's not multiplayer, right? Because a lot of these
Mhm.
multiplayer indie games, right, for
Mhm.
better or worse, the right streamer gets their eyes on it, gets their friends playing, and it's a
Oh,
wrap,
yeah. Yep.
right? You get
100%.
your Iron Mouse, you get your Ludwigs, like, XQC or whoever else, I don't know, right? But you get these people playing, and all of a sudden people have
Mhm.
eyes on it, right?
Yep. Yep.
But
One big
something
streamer,
small,
that's all it
yeah,
takes.
that
Yeah.
is all it takes. That really
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
So it's one of these things where it's like, what about those hidden gems that people
Yeah.
should have the attention to, and how do you support that? And I know when V and I talked about it, we also talked about it from the perspective of like, how do you support that in terms of wanting to still encourage the next generation of indie devs, right? Because I see it at work because I work in higher ed and I work with students who are very interested in like game creation, game development, like technology. And the number of times I hear I would love to develop games like as a real thing, but I have to take on some other job and I don't know if I'll ever have time to do that because
Mhm.
game development is tough. Game development doesn't pay, right? And it's like, but sometimes I hear their ideas, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. Like I think you should move forward with that, right? And sometimes it's just they don't feel there's the support for it. They don't feel it's possible. And in my very small capacity, like I try to do what I can to help them, but I am very much aware of like, but everything else out there is telling you that like this may not be feasible, right? Or you may not be able to
Mhm.
do this in a few years.
Yep.
This could be a 10-year project because not everybody, I'm going to say not everybody's going to be the guy who created Stardew and I don't remember his name, but then I also remember
Yeah.
that the Chocolatier game was promised how many years ago and it's still not out, right? So, what
Mhm.
is the Haunted Chocolatier or something like that, right?
Yes. Yep.
See,
But,
I don't know
he's
cozy games, but he's a solo dev,
yeah,
right? So how
he's
much
a
time is that
solo dev.
taking,
Mhm.
right? So, and obviously he saw success with Stardew, which is great,
Yeah.
and that I'm sure helped the motivation to create something new. But even so, look at how much time it's taking, right? And your everyday person who maybe is thinking about breaking into that field,
Mhm.
maybe they don't have that time, right? Maybe there's other things taking them away, or I guess the point where they just don't have that motivation because they don't see it represented anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to some of the GSC community, and I don't know who filled it out, right? But I know that there were people that filled it out. One of my students um, said, I'm really interested in game development, but I want feedback from people who play games, right?
Mhm.
And in the Discord, I was like, hey, look, I have a student. I know this is a weird request, but I have a student who's trying to get feedback from gamers. If you have time, would you be willing to fill out this form? And clearly, people jumped on it really quickly, which was amazing, right? Because that student later on then came back and was like, I expected maybe to get like 2 or 3 friends to fill it out. And I got so many responses that I feel like I actually have something I can work with now.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
was like, see, sometimes like those little things help. Not to say that he's definitely gonna create something or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But those little touch points, and that's me as one person in part of a Discord server. Imagine if they
Yeah.
could see that on a grand scale.
Mhm. Yeah. There was, a developer that so I was, asked by Dano to to review this game. It's called Spilled, and it was,
I remember Spilled, yeah.
a s yeah, it's a very cute game. If you've never checked out Spilled, it is, a cleanup ocean waste game where you're a little tugboat and you get to upgrade your pieces as you go along, but you clean up oil spills and clean up garbage. And it was made by a solo dev on her computer
Mhm.
on her boat in the middle of the Netherlands.
Yes.
And she's a solo dev and
And
her
giving back to
stuff,
charity. Let's not forget that.
yeah. And this game is adorable. Now, it is not the longest game. It's not going to take you like, you know, I have 3.7 hours on the game, and that's including going back and like taking photos and like replaying a little bit. But it is a cute get out of your head type of game.
Mhm.
And for I think it's pronounced lente, um, to get credit for how much love and dedication she put into this, short game. I want to see that, and I
Mhm.
want developers to get that.
Yeah.
I did while we were sitting here, I did look up. There is Indie Game Awards, um, themselves. They're presented by 6-1 Indie,
I know the
and they
name
started.
I know the name tangentially, but I don't know that much about them.
Yeah, they gave Balatro the Game of the Year last year.
Not surprising.
Um, but they're December 18th this year. Um, and you can go look them up. And voting opens in November. And they've got action, horror, adventure, interactive fiction, multiplayer, puzzle, RPG, simulation, strategy, survival, and then community game
Ooh,
of the year.
puzzle.
So, um, yeah, I would definitely look into them because
God,
it
I didn't even
it
think
looks
about
like
puzzle games.
yeah, it kind of fits what we're exactly talking about.
Mhm. It
Solo
does.
development, visual design,
That's huge.
innovation, music, and that's huge, and they've only been doing it for 2 years. So, I'm glad someone is listening before
Someone's
we
thinking
even.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
um
I think that's good that someone's thinking about it, and I hope that continues
mhm,
to then grow, right?
yeah,
Because obviously that's not at the level of the Game Awards, and I think it'll be very difficult to ever get to that level, especially if you're talking indies, right? But I
mhm,
hope that there will be some some more recognition because I think that is where a lot of creative work and boundary pushing is coming from, right?
mhm,
It's not
yeah,
necessarily the AAA studios, and that's not to say that all AAA games are bad or, obviously they're not. Um, but I think there is just more willingness to try different
mhm,
things from some of these indie
yeah,
studios. Maybe it's because they have a lot less to lose, right? But
yeah,
I think that's a big part of it. We
mhm.
should get Flute Guy at the Indie Awards because that would
Flu
bring such an audience.
Yes, because I mean, you've got the games that they had music for last year. I don't know if you've played Core Keeper before. The music
I
in
have
that goes
not.
hard. Okay. Music in that goes hard. Um, I mean, they've got some really, really cute like the games that I've played,
Mhm.
um, because you guys know, and a lot 90% of the games that I play are indie developers. Um, you've got, what did I see in here? Little Kitty Big City. I love the crap out of that game.
That one's
Um,
very cute.
Hearts. I got to play early access to that. Go on Gamer Social and look at my review on it. Um, what else you got? The Core Keeper. You've got Crow Country. I didn't specifically play that, but I watched a lot of people who did. So they are like looking into Thirsty Suitors. I don't know if you've played Thirsty Suitors before.
I've
Um,
not, but I
th-
watched gameplay.
I love Thirsty Suitors. Um, You've got Tiny Glade. Tiny Glade was big last year for specifically for me. I had been waiting for that one to come out. So I'm thinking that these awards might be really, really great. Like I said, voting starts next month, which by the time this comes out,
It'll be November.
it'll be in November. So make sure that if you really, really like an indie game, that you talk about it. Talk about
Mhm.
it.
Word of
Because
mouth is
that's how a
huge.
lot of word of mouth is huge. And I feel like personally is that's why for Gamer Social Club, getting the being able to review indie games and smaller games is so important to me personally. because otherwise some of these games don't I, I'm not going to gatekeep these games because they
Mhm.
need to be shared.
Yeah.
They need to be shared. So developers, like the student that you talk to, are encouraged by the work they
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
That they eventually don't have to work a second job to be able to do what they want to do.
Mhm. And that's huge.
So,
I mean, and,
mhm,
I want to keep encouraging that, not just with my students, but anybody else. And,
mhm,
I know maybe 10 episodes or so ago, we had someone from Gamerella talking about like the game jams and all that. And it's like all of those things that give people an opportunity to try it and to start to build something. And maybe that's not the final product that comes out, but maybe it gets them the experience or it gets them the passion or it gets them whatever it is,
mhm,
right? Like all of that is so important. All of that helps them like, get to where they need to be, and and creating games that us as the end users, because this is what I always tell my students. I'm like, I'm the end user. I don't know how to develop games. I don't know how to make the games, but one day I'm going to be the person playing the game, right?
mhm,
So, like encouraging that, because some of the ideas that people come up with and put together is amazing, and I think there should be more like love and attention to some of these smaller games, because
mhm.
again, they're just as good, if not better sometimes, than the games that have millions of dollar in promotion. And I know we've talked about this a lot on Gamer Social Club
Mhm.
on Girl Pod. Um, but it's really encouraging that. So it is good to hear that there is like the indie awards, and I hope it grows.
I do too. And especially because you and I both know when sometimes when a big game comes out and it's been, you know, marketed to hell, um, and it gets delivered broken,
Mhm.
there are less chimes that I've opened an indie game and even in early access or even on full release, and the game is perfection. There are
Mhm.
nothing that needs there's no clipping or, even just little things, nothing. The game is perfect when it's released, except for maybe, a language flaw here or there,
Yeah.
because a lot of times the small indie people are relying on their community members to help translate things for them
Mhm.
because they don't have the ability to do so. Um, so,
Oh yeah,
talk
there's
about your
a
indie games.
there's a game that I'm in their Discord. It's the Zodiac Trials 13Z, and they
Mhm,
straight up said like, "Do you speak Spanish?" Like not to me, but they posted in general. "Do you speak Spanish? We're looking for people to help us with Spanish translations."
mhm,
Right? It is very much community driven to, to get it where they want it to be. And kudos to them for even, being at this point and being like, we want more languages, right? We want to
mhm,
include more. Kudos for that. Um, and then it really just is, how can they make it happen, right? Like
yep,
what is within their means, and within their means a lot of the time
mhm,
is the community. And that's what it takes. And if it has some language flaws, I'm okay with that as long as it makes sense, right? You're,
mhm.
uh, what, not full on grammar, but like, did you use the past tense instead of the present? I don't care. Can I get what the sentence is trying to say? Cool.
Mhm.
I'm good.
I think the funniest one I've ever come across is, "Did you do your Kegels?" And I was like, "Did I do my what?" They're like, "Stand up and stretch, do some Kegels." And I guess in this other language that the developers were from, Kegels just means stretches and not what we think Kegels are. If you know, you know. I'll explain it when you're older if if you don't. Um, but, like, I think that's the funniest one I've come across, and it didn't ruin my gameplay. It was just like a, "Did I do my what?"
It's so
So,
valid.
yeah.
I
But
mean, but
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 what
did you
ta
do them that day? Did you really?
um, but don't gatekeep indie games. I understand, like, you wanna keep something special to yourself, but this is how we get indie developers to make more games, more beautiful games.
Mhm.
If you really enjoy an indie small developer type game, talk about it. If there is an indie game that is coming out and you're like, "Hey, if Gamer Social Club doesn't know about this, they should." Talk to us about it. We would love to see what you guys are interested in,
Mhm.
because and if I don't find it interesting, maybe Candy does, maybe Sean does, maybe V does, maybe Dano does. Someone on our team probably the game on our team is very
Is
vast.
wide
So
variety.
very, very. There are some games that do not overlap with and some of these people that I write with. So if I don't like it, there's always going to be someone on our team that probably likes it. So,
100%. 100%. That is
mhm.
the perfect segue to wrap it all up because I know we're getting close to time,
Oh, I know. Yeah.
right? So as as Britt just said, if there's games that you think should be on our radar, let us know. You can let us know in the comments on this episode below. You can let us know by joining the Discord and letting us
Mhm.
know in the Discord. We also like have community game days that go on in the Discord where we play lots of games: Sea of Thieves, Dead by Daylight, Among Us. We try to have a variety of community games. Also, sometimes we just sit in the Discord and stream whatever game we're playing if we're sitting on PC chilling so that other people can see what we're playing because maybe that's how you learn about your next favorite game. Who knows?
Mhm.
But make sure that you're letting us know. Doesn't have to just be an indie game, could be anything, right? Could be something older that you think maybe needs some attention, right? Maybe it's a double A game instead of a triple A, right? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the Discord.
Mhm.
Um, and then the only way for you to know whether or not we actually take your suggestion would be for you to make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can
Yeah.
catch us with more Girl Pod every Monday. Between me, Britt, and V, you'll always see some combination on Girl Pod. And then make sure that you catch the weekly news podcast each week. Those usually go up either really late on Thursdays or Fridays because the UK gang, I know they record it really late on Thursday. And then that goes up. So the episode will be up for Halloween with costumes, and I'm really excited to see what they do. So that'll be fun. And if you're like, I follow the YouTube channel, but I have no idea what you're talking about with these articles, that's because you are not looking at gamersocialclub.ca, and you really should be, so that you can hear about games that are written for you for gamers by gamers. There are editorials, guides, news, reviews, all of that is on there. Some guides have been really, really taken off. I got to give credit to the people who are doing the guides because that's not easy and they're killing it. But you'll see all of that up there for your gaming enjoyment. So please make sure that you like, subscribe, share this with your gamer friends. Let us know what indie game you're going to be voting for. And if you're really, really feeling it, leave a comment on something that we did that was wonderful. Remind us to do our Kegels, just like the game. Yes, I got the laugh. All right, I got it. But make sure you do that. And we will see you on the next episode of Girl Pod. Have a great time zone, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.